Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews. I'm excited to be here. It is summer. It is beautiful everywhere around, well, that I've been lately. It's just sunny and we're feeling the vibes. We're feeling the summer vibes. I know that we are in trade show season as well. There's many out there that have a little extra fun with the family. So I'm excited to be traveling. I have a couple of events. I just had Valve World Americas in Houston, which was amazing. And then I know I am going to miss ACE in Toronto this year because it's just back to back. And then we have ESA that's going to be in Washington, D.C. And then I go to Reliable Plant, which is down in where is it? Orlando. Yes, Orlando. And so that's July into August. So anyway, summer is full and packed, and we're excited to be on the road and seeing our customers, our friends. And speaking of friends, I have a new friend that I want to introduce you to. Benjamin, if you will jump on here with me and just introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Benjamin Moss. I'm an engineer, project manager, and run the Garver operations for Georgia.
Wonderful. And we have a lot of friends over there at Garver. So hi, everyone. And how do you get into that role?
Yeah, it was a crazy thing. I designed a big 33 MGD water treatment plant for Cobb County Marietta Water Authority, and then I there's a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm not a huge fan. I'm not trying to say I agree with everything in that author in particular, but there's a story in the book about him designing his own career. And I had traveled the country. I've been on over 600 flights, working for Coca-Cola, Pepsi, GE. Early in my career through the Great Recession. I designed a big plant locally in my hometown. I'm from the West Georgia area. And then I wanted to see construction, and there wasn't an opportunity to do construction at that plant. So I went to Dallas, Georgia in Paulding County and helped them construct and then start up a greenfield 18 MGD water treatment plant. It was a 3 billion gallon reservoir. I actually filled the first 300 million gallons myself with a 67 MGD pump station. It was really amazing, but kind of my reputation sort of started to spread because I had done the design and then I'd done the construction. And in that book, he talked about that, about designing your own career. So I kind of had some different skills, right? Because I had thought about where I wanted to be, and I always wanted to run an office. I like the business side of things. And so basically, a rep called me and said, "Hey, I know you get a lot of calls and requests, but this one's real. Garver's a really great company. You probably ought to listen to this one." And so then they called me, and I actually listened because I trusted that rep. I had built a relationship with them and heard about what Garver was offering and what they were doing to do in Georgia. And I happened to have the right skills that they were looking for. And to be completely frank, I was willing to swing the bat. I think a lot of times with opportunities like this, people aren't in the right spot in their life to take a big swing. And I just so happened to be in a pretty good spot to take a big swing. And so I took the swing, and I think I've cracked the bat a bit. So it's good. It's been
Absolutely.
cool.
So you're kind of running that Garver office there in the Georgia area. They have several different, around the world. For the people that don't know, they have different. One that I know, Jeff over there in Texas, he runs a similar, I guess, setup there in that region. And so I think a couple of things. One, what we put into our body matters. So reading that great book and the inspiration in a lot of different areas, right? So as you're coming up and trying to figure out what is going to be that job or career or next step within your career, listen to great podcasts, listen to books, try to feed your mind, body, soul in the right direction. So you are
Right.
ready for those opportunities. So I love that as a resource for people just to keep in mind. But I'm even curious about how, you got into engineering. Like, did you have
Yeah.
some direction from friends or family?
I'm a first generation college kid. My aunt went to Georgia Tech, but then graduated from Georgia State with some computer stuff. That was the only college grad that we know of in my family, and so my mom ran an engineer or not engineering, ran a air conditioning company out in Dallas, Georgia, where I'm from. And her reasoning was is I liked math and science, and in the meetings that she had, the engineer was seemed to have a pretty good job. And so she was like, you should think about being an engineer. And so I didn't even know what that meant. So I did pretty good on my SAT, I guess. But I was really not a great student in high school. I was interested in having fun more than I was studying. Really interesting, but I won't get on that path. But so I went to Mercer my freshman year in mechanical engineering. Didn't even know what a mechanical engineer was really. Did not enjoy Macon, missed my friends in the Atlanta area. So I came back and went to Southern Poly. And somebody there said that mechanical engineers make weapons and civil engineers make targets. And because there's a Lockheed Martin facility in Marietta near that school. And I wanted to make the targets, I guess. And so it took me really about 2 years to figure out what type of engineering I wanted to do. And so civil was interesting, bridges, structural. Then I found out about water in about my junior year of college, getting close to graduation. I graduated in 2010 in the depth of recession. There was no jobs, no opportunity really inside of the design world. Everything was compliance, environmental driven. So I took that job and did well at it, learned as much as I could. But then I got exposed to water through Coca-Cola and Pepsi's water conservation stuff when I was working for them. And then I got more exposed to water wastewater, then did my master's, and there was an opportunity there. And so then I got hooked hard. It's just I like soil mechanics and water because both of them are non-homogeneous items that are difficult to explain. And what interested me with water more than soils is with soils, your safety factors just get bigger, right? With water, you have to be some degree of right. Because if you design a water system for a subdivision at the very last house, if it's too much pressure, it'll bust the pipes and the house burns down. If there's not enough pressure and flow, then there's not enough water and the house burns down. So inherently, you must be some degree of right. And that's really what got me really hooked, is that you had to go in, you had to analyze, you had to pick which side you want your safety factor to be. And you needed to really think about how much safety factor, right? And it's not cost driven, it's quality driven thought, which I just found interesting. And then I got more into the history of water and how it supports civilization. And now I'm just a full-on water junkie. So
yeah, I love the passion. It's just, it gets us going. We love it here. We love water, of course. We want everyone to have it and have safe drinking water. And I think it's fun, though, just to even think about, because I think just civilians can relate to this, right? Like their water pressure and trying to figure out like if they have enough, if we turn it up too much, you get the water hammer and all the other things that happen that we just don't even know what it is normally until you kind of get in the industry and understand it. But it's so important, and it's important to our comfort, our daily lives. But I'm thinking about you and kind of your journey to get here and the excitement of designing. And so kind of going back to your mention of the target, designing this huge facility. I mean, what was that like? I mean, how do you even start that kind of project?
And it was crazy. I describe it like a shark eating a whale, right? It's like one bite at a time. You just take a bite out every day. They talk about that like 1% better every day. Like it's true. Like you just learn. And the big key, because I worked on every piece of that $72 million job, right? And I always remember at the end, whenever like they asked me in the resume, like, you did all that? And I was like, yeah. And what I did is that I got to the office early, like 7:30, got my coffee, got going before like everybody got there. And I just had my tasks, right? And I just kept doing it. And I would go to the senior engineers with the different pieces of the design, and I would just go in the book. I would go get the book. I would go to the chapter, get the book, and I would design it. And I would design in Excel, and I would have my little piece of paper and like would build it all out. And I would take it to the senior designer and I would ask really in-depth questions. And that made them trust me, right? To let me do that piece of design, because a design that big is segregated by 7 disciplines, sometimes by structure, and there was like 6 structures. And so I had to know who was leading each thing, each structure, and each discipline. And I would just ask intelligent, thought through questions because I was doing the work. At the end of the day, you got to do the work. Like talking about it, wanting to do it, that's all great. But you got to get to the office, or I believe get to the office, or your whatever, get to work, right? Get your to-do list ready and just start attacking it every single day. And I worked on that job for about a year and a half, pretty much full time. And it's not like the job, and it was purely because I made myself of value to all those senior engineers, and they trusted me. And then eventually I knew so much about the job that if anybody had a question, they came to Ben, and that's what it's like. And man, like, I think one of the biggest things is that to recognize the opportunity in front of you. A lot of times people are looking for some great opportunity, they're always looking for that next, like when you get it, like you better hold on and commit into it, and don't always be looking for that next opportunity. Like commit to something and really deliver it.
It's interesting. You going around and kind of talking and getting into each of these sections of that design, you had to build a relationship with that person, right? And
Yeah.
they also had to see that you cared about it and that you really did want to learn and you really did want to be involved in it. And I think you can't fake that, right? Like you really
Yeah.
have to be a part of that and know, okay, this is what I'm trying to accomplish here. And if I want to be taken seriously in this space, then I need to know this stuff and really learn it and apply it. Like you said, like I don't want to just sit around the table and listen and talk, talk about the things. Okay, I think about this with consulting. Sometimes we get into, okay, here are all the things that you need to do. All right, see you later. Not, okay, I need somebody to help me do these things, right? And so that's definitely a piece of it that we need to talk about it, of course, and plan it out, but then actually execute as well. And it sounds like they had some help there from you, which was great. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so you've designed that, you've moved on from there. Tell us more. What is more about that journey after that?
Yeah. So that, I guess one of the big things is that, operating something, how about this? Yeah, this is a really good premise that I would say that people, should think about and try to do more of. And that's be willing to press the button.
Mhm.
This is kind of how I framed it. Out at Richland, once I had done that design stuff and I was going out and doing the operation side, the reason I filled that first 300 million gallons that I'm so insanely proud of, I'm 6 generations from Paulding County, right? And that reservoir is going to outlive me. It's probably going to outlive my son. That first 300 million gallons is something that I'll have with me my whole life. And the reason why I got to do that, I had the opportunity to do that, is because I was willing to press the button. There's so many people out there that are willing to be a part of the process, but not willing to put their skin in the game, right? And it's not that I was willing to press the button because I was reckless. I was really willing to press the button because I'd, again, done the work. So, for example, on this river pump station, you had, at the time I was working for Arcadis, it was an Arcadis design on the river pump station. And the pipeline was designed by a company called Croy. It was constructed by a company called Garney, the pipeline. The pump station was constructed by PC Construction. So you have all of these players. Oh, and Paulding County, the owner, right? For the startup of that pump station. Somebody, whether it's you or somebody else or somebody has to take ownership. Somebody has to go look at that pipeline, even though it's not their responsibility. Somebody has got to talk to that contractor, even though that's not their responsibility. Somebody has to go to that contractor and really make them feel comfortable with what your plan is for how you're going to start all this stuff up and to provide direction. And you have to earn that. You've got to earn that trust. And most of the time it's earned by, again, doing the work. getting in early, staying in late, or focusing your day in the middle to learn about that pipeline, even though it's not in your responsibility. Know where the high points are. What are the risks? Having that conversation with those contractors and getting into the details. And again, another thing I'll never forget is that we did the math, and you think of something simple like an elevation and pressure, right? Well, if you have elevation and you're pumping from a river up to a reservoir, where the water's at is the pressure, right? So 2.31 is, the conversion, right? So it's 2.31 feet. So any pound of PSI is 2.31 feet. So if your gauge is reading 100, then you're 231 feet up. Well, if you know the drawings and you have the drawings in front of you, you know what the stationing is that's 231 feet higher than the river, right? And
Okay.
so
Now I do.
Maybe later people re-listen that. I think I said it right. I'm pretty sure I did. When you make a call on the radio to the contractor that, hey, the water just crossed Highway 61, and then they see that, right? There's inherent trust, right? And so that's what's, I think, needed right now as the industry is sort of aging out, is people willing to put their skin in the game and to press the button. And I think that you'll be more willing to press the button and put the skin in the game when you did the work, right? Because you've mitigated the risk to the best of your ability. There's always going to be some level of risk at some point with everything we do. And Mike Rowe says it this way: safety second, right? Because if you put safety first, you would never even leave your house, right? That would be a risk to you. So at some point you have to frame the risk relative to what society needs to press us forward, or your industry or your company, right? And so,
and you're going to have that confidence too if you've done the work, like you said.
Right. And again, you can't fake it. You cannot fake that. Like, I haven't seen anybody fake it, because I don't think they'd be willing to press the button if they were fake. Right?
No, absolutely. They would know that they didn't do the work. So I don't know. You push it. I don't.
$70 billion pump station, right? These numbers are bonkers. They're different, right? And so, that would be the one thing that I would say is you got to do the work to be willing to press the button. The most dangerous employee that I can think of, though, is the person that's willing to press the button fear is healthy. I did mountain climbing. I've climbed Mount Rainier twice, but never summited it. But I did summit a volcano out called Mount Baker near the Canadian border in Washington State.
I saw that recently.
Right, yeah, it's freaking beautiful. I did it with a guide service, but we were getting trained so that we could attempt Rainier on our own. It was a couple of college buddies of mine, and there's something exhilarating about being in an environment where you can die because you have to focus. And I have extreme ADHD and hyperness, and so I'm always looking for items to zero in on. But my nephew, love him to death, but he would say things to me like, "Oh man, I'm not afraid." That's the most terrifying thing in the world to me, is to be with somebody that's not afraid. You never take anybody whitewater kayaking, mountain climbing, scuba diving, skydiving that's not afraid. That's the worst teammate you can have. There are healthy levels of fear, right? So you should be afraid to press that button. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be afraid to press that button, but are you using that fear to be proactive, to mitigate, to be productive? Jim Collins, or John Collins, whatever his name is, the great by choice, good to great guy, he calls it productive paranoia. And I've always kind of liked that, kind of be a little bit more positive with what can be a negative thing.
Yeah, I always say that I do things scared all the time. So I like the word courageous versus brave, because brave.
I love that. Did we not talk about that? Again, brave is you don't realize the fear. Courageous is you know that there's fear there, but you do it anyway. You gave me chills. That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know anybody else knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I live all the time. Well, it's, like I said, everybody, like, he has an amazing story. So much that you've done. I cannot believe I used to have Mount Rainier on my wall back from another pump guy that had climbed it and sent John Hayes and sent it to me. And it's such a beautiful mountain, but to imagine climbing to the top of it, no, I just looked at it from the park, I felt like I had a really good hike. But anyway, I wanted everybody to get to know you. You're doing a lot of great things, definitely for Garver, but also just in Georgia. You're part of the Georgia Association for Water Professionals. I know there's an event coming up, but what else are you doing there as far as how are you involved?
Yeah, so our community is everything. If I cannot connect to the altruistic values of what we're doing, then I'm not gonna do it anymore. Like it's just to me, like it's everything. My soul means more to me than anything, and my bank account will be okay if my soul is good. It's kind of I think it's been a testament to my life thus far, that that's true. Operators. My passion is about operators. Man, those guys and girls make less money a lot of times than I think they should. They are on call. They have their job every day is not super hard in all cases. So let's just be honest about it, right? But when we need them, they're there, right? And I feel like I just want to promote them as much as possible, what they're doing. A lot of times those people are really serving their communities on the daily too. There's a lot of, I won't go into specifics, but there's a lot of leaders of our society that actually are children of operators, because operators are there every day, right? They're at the sports things, they're involved in their communities, they're coaching hockey. Thinking about my good friend Brian over at Newton. I mean, he's the director of his local hockey league, right? There's just so many stories of that everywhere. And we had a really bad like freeze around the Christmas holidays. They left their Christmas with their families, right? They left their New Year's parties, to go find those leaks and keep the water flowing. And they always do that. And I love the linemen too. But I just feel like we're never getting as much love as the linemen, like the water operators out there. And man, they keep us safe. They're a public health. And so that's been a big focus. I'm the chair of the water treatment committee for GAWP. It's a actual Georgia section of the Georgia Association of American Water Works, so AWWA's Georgia section. And I actually went to them and I came up with this whole plan to get $9,000. I know it's amazing. Like you go to get the 9K to send the winning team from Georgia for the top ops competition up to ACE to represent the state. First time we know of that they've had a team. And it's just a great opportunity to just promote those fellas and ladies. It was really funny. One of the only ladies that actually competed almost took the show. Right.
Yeah.
She almost led her team all the way to victory. We were all joking. It's like, next year there's gonna be more ladies out there because it was a good balance with all the lab stuff. And anyway, it was great. And but we had over 100 people that showed up to spectate, and it was exciting. Like who was going to win? We had 6 teams to compete, and we're really focusing to getting that PFAS, PFOA. This is wild, what they're requiring. I cannot believe it's not outlawed. That you can still produce these things, and you're putting it on the water industry to clean it up. I just we'll do it. We'll do what we do. That's what our jobs are. We will do the MCLs. We'll decide if we're going to go to zero or as an industry. And I'm really trying to help spearhead that conversation in Georgia to protect our water industry. At the end of the day, if we don't do it, then who else is going to do it, right?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things there. One, we celebrate operators. We're a sponsor of the Operations Challenge for WEF, but also have been at ACE and the hydrant hysteria and all of that takes place too. So absolutely love our operators. And then the other thing is on, PFAS, I just think all those things, yes, all those acronyms. But the main thing is that industry does contaminate the water. Sometimes it happens, but there are things that there are, I guess, pros to some of the things that we create in the industry that we need. So it is like a balance, right? You kind of go back to that 100%. Balance. So we don't want to give up everything that we have as far as that we use, but how do we keep the people safe as well? So there's a conversation that has to be had between industry and the water works. And so I'm thankful that you are a part of that and you can kind of see that. And it is not one side. It's not the water treatment plants can't fix all of this if you're just constantly piping, pushing down paints and different things that, we, so much of just like cooking, the ease of cooking, and you don't have to clean up your pan because it's sprayed with whatever. Some of that stuff is getting into the water and it's not good either. So there's things that we can educate just the civilians to do better. We talk about, flushable wipes aren't really flushable, but people who can chop up those wipes are happy too, because that is part of their livelihood. So there's a lot of balance, a lot of things to talk about. But at the end of the day, we do have to figure out how to reduce the amount of PFAS.
Well, we just got to be having the conversation. Like there's so much lost knowledge that is occurring right now. And again, going back to pressing the button, people are so scared to put themselves out there these days for whatever reason, whether it's being canceled or whether it's, being thought that they're stupid or, or they're not thought through enough or whatever. If we're not having those conversations out front and talking, oral history, right? Like us as a society, that matters. And the truth matters. And so if we're not having the conversation, it's hard for the truth to come out. Like, what is truth? Just like what you said, it's very complicated. I mean, I'm pro-business. Georgia's the #1 place to do business. I think every state says that, but I'm just saying, like,
I'll let you have it. I won't argue. We're neighbors.
But we've got to be talking. Everything doesn't have to be published and peer reviewed.
Yeah,
but inconventional truth, because there's a lot of opinions in that. I mean, academia, excuse me, on your podcast, I'll say this. Academia is a lot of times one of the places where the prestigiousness of stuff and nobody's willing to question the expert that's on the textbook. I went to a small school. I'm not willing I'm not concerned about being a part of your super crew that all went to the most prestigious schools. I'm going to tell you, I don't agree. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, I think that's what diversity of thought's all about, right? And having everybody, it is important to have all of the different opinions and ideas to solve problems. Because if you do, everybody's saying yes, and everybody looks the same, and we're doing the same old, well, we're not getting any better. So I think that's a great point. And I think, you're one of those people, and I've literally, this is the second time I've talked to him, y'all, that I just am like, I got to know more about this guy and where he's going and what he's leading, because I can see it in you, the passion for the industry and your work. And just, you've already given us like 5 different leadership type resources. So I think it's wonderful. And I appreciate, your time. I appreciate what you're doing. I hate that I'm going to miss your conference in July. Again, there's just so much going on. We talked about it. There's vacations, there's summer, there's trade shows, it's everything. And my son graduated from college. Yay me. Yay him, right? But it's wonderful to meet you, and I can't wait. Tell everybody what you're doing there at the conference though before we get off.
So the Georgia Association Summer Conference is down in Savannah. It's the biggest conference of the year in Georgia. And we actually one of my big ideas from years ago was to get the riverboat, the Savannah riverboat, because it's really hot in Savannah. And what helps with the heat is like a sea breeze. But guess what? There's no sea breeze in Savannah. So what you have to do is you have to get on a boat and you have to move that boat, or at least go out towards the ocean. So what we do is we have an event. It's at 7 to 9. We'll take a cruise on the Savannah River. We'll have a photographer there to take these beautiful sunset photos. The boat's not necessarily cheap, but it's our client appreciation and industry appreciation. But that sunset's the $1 million sunset. That's really what it's all about. And so there's a nice top deck, and we'll have a good dinner and things like that. But yeah, it's a great conference. It's where things happen for Georgia, and to get to know the different people that are out there trying to make an impact. And I'll say one more thing on the leadership thing. One of our conference rooms here is named after Asa Candler. Asa Candler is the guy who took Coca-Cola from Doc Pemberton, who's basically a chemist making a juice with sugar and maybe this other white substance in it, and turned it into a business model. And it was through marketing. Enjoy a delicious Coca-Cola, right? And so I'm actually one of those people that actually thinks that the water industry needs to be doing a lot more marketing, and I'm not saying company by company marketing. I'm saying in general, because that's why we're not getting the best of the best candidates a lot of times. That's why we're having a little bit of issue of workforce and it's not just getting once again, the prestigious school graduates, it's the high school graduates. It's, the community college graduates. And we need to be doing more marketing. And so I'm a huge believer in it. I know you are too, with all the stuff you're out there doing. But if we don't promote ourselves, which is not necessarily what we're best at, usually it's not going to change. But I think that's the one fundamental thing that the industry as a whole could do a better job at, that will have just across the board positive impacts that we could do a lot better job on. So I'm actually looking at my boat party journey as a way to actually show the rest of the industry a different way of looking at the problem. I know that sounds funny, and I know that there's people out there that won't believe me when I say that, but everything that I do, I try to think about how it helps my family, my clients, my family, Garver, and then does it have that kind of impact where it helps everybody? And I feel like if you try to do that and try to mirror those things, then you just feel better about yourself.
Well, I think there's so much there. Yes, we agree that we need to market the water industry and how important it is that the work that they're doing. You talked a little bit about kind of the local community and the pride that they take on that job, because they are showing up and they're like, I'm there for you, right, when you need me, and that is something to be proud about. Something for their whole families to be proud that their family member is doing that. So definitely want to help with that. Definitely want to spread the word. I do believe that fun is part of work, and it help when you create an atmosphere where people can come together and create memories and have fun, then they'll want to continue to come back, and they'll want to have that conversation, even if it's a hard conversation. We'll be willing to have it. So, Ben, if people want to get in touch with you, how's the best way to do that?
So LinkedIn, you were talking about Rainier. I've got the little Rainier thing in the background. You're not gonna see my face on there. I've got a funny picture with a big old piping connection. But Benjamin L. Moss, PE, on LinkedIn. That's the only. I'm not a big social media person. That's the only one I really manage. You could also find me if you have additional questions at my email address, which is blmoss@garverusa.com. You can catch me there. So
awesome. Well, Ben, I could talk to you all day. We'll have you back on. I can't wait to, I know this will be coming out the week after ACE, but I hope the operators do a great job. I know they will. And it'll be such an experience for them and your family as well. So take care, and everybody else, y'all share this episode. This is going to be such an impactful session. If you haven't done so, like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Every time I say that, it reminds me of my little boy saying that when he was little, like and subscribe. So y'all do that. And we will be around this summer. So I said this on the last podcast, but and somebody did actually reach out to me. So thanks, Eric. Y'all let me know what you want to hear about. Let me know what your struggles are, what opportunities out there. Just send me a message. Send me a LinkedIn DM. I love those. I do pay attention. I do respond. So look forward to what I guess comes up this summer. And until next time, be empowering. Thanks, Ben.